Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to explain how protective gear works. So first let's check out our Bootypedia. When it comes to protective gear, Bootypedia is saying the following. A class of items which boost resistance of worn armor. These items usually fit only certain slots in warrior's equipment and start to work only the next half turn after equipping. Now that's the idea how it should work and how it will work at some point, but in the current version of the game, items work the same wherever they are in the soldier's inventory. So soldiers can hold them in their hands or have them in their backpack. As long as they're in their inventory, protective gear is going to take effect. Okay, let's continue. Effects usually stack unless items share same gear type, and even then only resistance factor does not stack. Resistance factor is spelled as follows. Effectivity, by what factor resistance is improved between current value and boundary. Now this is important, so the improvement is between current value and boundary. Keep that in mind and I'll show you an example how this is actually calculated. And boundary, if the current resistance is at this level or better, effect is 0. By stacking you can approach this value with diminishing results but never reach it. Lower numbers are better. Okay, let's check out some protective gear and I'll show you which number is effectivity and which number is boundary. So here we have a fancy shawl that actually doubles up as weapon. You can see the power bonus here and it does choking damage. However, if you read the description at the bottom here, we can see that protective gear type is shawl, resistance factor cold 75/50. Cold stands for the resistance we're going to improve, so this item is going to improve resistance to cold. 75 is effectivity, which actually means that this item is going to improve the resistance between the current resistance and boundary by 25%, and 50 is the boundary for this item. Now if you remember what Bootypedia said about these numbers, lower values are better. Now let's check out next item, Ushanka, resistance factor cold 85/50, days 90/30. So this item actually improves both resistance to cold and resistance to days. Space towel, fan, radiator shirt, gas mask, riot shield. As we can see, riot shield actually improves quite a few of the resistances for your armor, some more and some less. Safety goggles, cam coat and so on. Cam coat improves chemical by 25% and the boundary is 50, and choking by 25% and the boundary is 100. Let's check out a Duratread armor. Now if you look at the resistance for Duratread armor, we can see that cam resistance is 80% and choking resistance is 400%. So with a cam coat, a gal wearing Duratread armor would improve their resistance using next formula. First we have difference between the current resistance value and boundary of the protective gear item. So for the cam coat, chemical boundary is 50 and Duratread armor resistance is 80, so the difference is 30. Now if you multiply that difference by effectivity, which is 75%, we would get 22.5. Now to the value we got, we need to add boundary back, so we add back 50 and we get 72.5. So 72.5 is a new chemical resistance for this soldier. Now if you look at choking resistance is 400 and the boundary for cam coat is 100. The difference is 300. If you multiply that by 0.75, which is the effectivity for the cam coat, we get 225. And if we add boundary back, which is 100, we get 325%, which means that choking resistance for this soldier would be 325%. Bootypedia also said that these items are stackable, so you can give your soldier 2 cam coats, or even 3 since they can hold them in their hands. However, second coat will have diminishing effect. So if you look at chemical resistance after adding first cam coat would be 72.5, which means the difference between boundary and current value is 22.5 times 0.75 equals 16.875, let's say 17. So new chemical resistance for this soldier would be 67. And for choking, after adding the first coat, our choking resistance was 325. If we reduce that value by boundary, we get 225 times 0.75 equals 169, so new choking resistance is 269. Now if you look at the gas mask, we can see that the effectivity is 30 and boundary is 50. So let's do our calculation again for Duratred armor. So our start resistance is 400, difference between boundary and start resistance is 350 times 0.3, because that's effectivity of the gas mask, equals 105, so our new choking resistance is 155. Now if this soldier has two gas masks, for the second one, current resistance would be 155, so difference between boundary and current resistance would be 105 times 0.3 equals 31.5, or 32, so the new choking resistance would be 82%. And that's pretty much it, how you actually calculate resistance for your soldiers based on their armor and protective gear. Now lastly, let me show you what would happen if you use a chem coat with smoky armor. So let's look at the resistance for smoky armor. So chemical resistance is 50% and choking resistance is as well 50%. And if we check our chem coat, we can see that chemical boundary is 50 and the choking boundary is 100, which means that chem coat would have no effect for soldier wearing this armor, because the resistance of this armor is already equal or better to the boundary of chem coat. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like the content I'm making, please like and subscribe. Take care, bye!